Hey, what is going on, Bulls and Bears? It is the eve of Christmas Eve. It is Thursday, December 23rd, 2021. Merry Christmas Eve, and I hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's having a good holiday season. I've been enjoying a little more time off from work and trying to enjoy the holidays with family. I hope all of you are doing the same. I know as I'm recording this, there are people out there having a very difficult time. Remember, there's still thousands of people trying to recover from the tornado damage. And that's just talking about the U.S. Worldwide, there's still a lot of people in a very, very tough position right now. In the U.S., onshore here, there's a lot of people financially not doing so well. Now, I've been told that I need to talk more about the positive and less negative, less doom and gloom. And I've been told that the doom and gloom has driven viewers away. Okay, so let's start on a positive note here. Before we get into the not so good economic news, I like to try to balance things out going forward here. So let's bring up our first article here. Good news here. 22 million Americans are now millionaires. Here's how they got wealthy. So great news. Let's all be happy. Let's all cheer. Yay! 22 million millionaires. Am I one of those millionaires? No. But I actually know a few millionaires myself. I should explain. People that are millionaires that I know are paper millionaires. That means if they sold their home, if they cashed out all their stocks, all of their retirement accounts, they would have $1 million. The problem is they're not going to see the cash or hold it in their hand until they liquidate their retirement account, until they sell their stocks, until they sell their home. So paper millionaires, that sounds good. I'm a paper millionaire. I'm not a paper millionaire, but people that are paper millionaires, the ones I know anyway, they don't feel like millionaires because they know that they have to sell all of these assets to realize these gains. So when you see your 401k, your stock portfolio, your home value, do you really have the money, or is it just something that you see digits on a screen, or aka paper millionaire? Well, as far as home equity goes, the paper millionaires they're going to have to sell their home. The problem is, where are you going to move to? Well, you're going to have to pay a lot more for a home unless you're going from California to Nebraska or something like that. So the paper millionaires, the ones I know, they don't feel like millionaires. They see their taxes going up, their cost of living going up. And I know more than one paper millionaire that's actually afraid to retire, right? So it used to be that, okay, if you were a millionaire, you thought of someone sitting on the beach, sipping a margarita, not having to work anymore. Maybe people like this couple right here. You're hanging out on your boat, you're not worried. No, the ones that I know are not wanting to retire right now because they know the cost of living is really going to eat up whatever they have in a very, very short amount of time. Okay, now don't get me wrong. There are, I'm sure, quite a few of these 22 million millionaires that are fully retired, not having to work, and maybe kicking back on their boat, on the beach, maybe even on their yachts. But the ones that I know are definitely not kicking back and relaxing. An example, I've got an older relative, and that's someone who bought their home back in the 1980s. It's out here in California, and they're being told that their home value is close to $900,000. The problem is they'd have to sell the home, and where would they live at? Sure, they could buy a home somewhere else. They could go rent somewhere. But this person who is older, they do not feel like moving right now. And as you might know, moving is very labor intensive. If you've ever had to relocate, you probably know. And imagine being in the same place for 30 or 40 years and you've accumulated a lot of stuff. And it's not so easy, especially when you get in your 70s and 80s. So this relative of mine definitely does not want to relocate. They're basically going to stay put. They've told me they're going to stay put until the end. So they're not going to be selling their home or relocating. And they certainly don't want to go into a nursing home. But, as you know, that's probably going to happen to most of us here at some point. And sadly, the way our medical system is here, if you ever do have to go into a nursing home, consider yourself broke because the $10,000 to $20,000 a month cost of the nursing home, even if you're a millionaire, after a few years, that's going to be gone. And then once that's gone, then you might get the state to cover it and have some benefit that covers it. But it's pretty sad the way the medical system is here. But without further delay, let's get into some more news here. Former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers warns of looming recession. Well, we've been warned about looming recessions for years now. The problem is what's considered a recession on paper is not showing up as a recession in the real world. For example, the official recession is defined as two consecutive quarters of negative growth. Well, when it comes to growth, all you have to do is send out enough stimulus checks, cancel rent, cancel evictions, cancel mortgage payments. In many states, we saw canceled utility bills and countless rescue programs. So with all those things being done, yes, you can avoid a recession on paper because you're not having negative growth, because people are still spending money even though they really don't have money to spend. People were still able to spend money. That kept the GDP high enough to avoid a recession as it appears on paper. But in reality, people are feeling the recession. Just ask all the people now that are barely making their ends meet because of the high prices. Let's talk about this next article on the same topic. In the past year, 20% of Americans at some point could not pay a utility bill. And we saw some cities in many different states put a pause on utility bills for a time, and some of them are even doing it right now as we speak. So think about this. 1 in 5 Americans in the past year missed a utility bill. What's it going to be like in 2022 if we know prices are higher in just about every category? Gas, heating cost, electricity cost. My electricity bill just went up again just in the past couple months. So it's only going to get worse as far as that goes. I wish I had better news for you. Believe me, I would love to bring you nothing but good news. If prices were going down, if people were paying off debt instead of getting further into debt, I would report on that here. But that's not what's happening. All right. I wish I could bring you a Christmas full of great news. And maybe the fact that there's 22 million millionaires is good news to you. I hope it is. The stock market's going up. That's good news. Maybe your retirement account's going up. Maybe you're investing. Maybe you're making money. But I really hope you're making enough gains in the markets, whatever you're investing in. I hope you're making enough gains to offset the rising prices. And we don't really see an end to these rising prices. A few reports ago, we talked about what the Fed has put out there, saying they're going to stop all asset purchases by March 2022. And like I said in that report, I'll believe it when I see it. If they do stop buying assets, you're going to see a massive market correction. We're going to have to keep an eye on interest rates and mortgage rates to really see if they're putting their money where their mouth is, no pun intended. But if they do stop buying assets, you're bound to see some corrections in these markets, both stocks and housing. Again, we're going to keep an eye on it. We're not just going to go and believe what they say. We're going to watch what happens to rates, because we know the interest rates and mortgage rates are controlled. Not just the Fed funds rate, but the actual mortgage rates are controlled by the money printers. So we're going to keep an eye on that for you. So yeah, 1 in 5 people had problems paying at least a utility bill last year. What's it going to be next year? 2 in 5, 3 in 5, maybe 50% of all people. We'll have to see. Recent article right here. U.S. economy unexpectedly grew by 2.3% with a surge in consumer spending. Now, they should have put an asterisk right here, because the surge in consumer spending may sound like positive news. But here is the grim reality. Financial Post is putting this out. After adjusting for inflation, spending stagnates. In other words, the only reason people are spending more, the only reason there was a surge, is because everything costs more. Essentials cost more. So of course there's going to be more spending. But when you adjust it for inflation, spending is actually stagnated. All right, so here's what happens a lot of times. People read these positive headlines, but they don't really read into the details very much. So they hear analysis like the analysis I give you, and they're thinking, okay, this guy's just negative. He's making everything seem negative, when actually there's all this good economic news out there that he's not reporting on. It's really, the headlines may appear positive, but when you look into the details, when you crunch the numbers, when you read between the lines, when you get the full picture, when you connect the dots, things are not as good as they're being reported. All right. But again, there is some good news. Ask the 22 million millionaires out there, paper millionaires, most of them. There's some good news for you. So there you go. That's pretty weird. The lights on the tree just came on. Okay, next article. Let's talk about gas and oil prices really quick. We know that oil jumped up to over $83 per barrel. It dipped back down to the mid 60s. Now we're up again to about $73 and some change for a barrel of oil. How did that translate into gas prices? Well, when you look at the nationwide average, it has dipped down from about 342 down to about 329 per gallon. But let me go ahead and add San Diego in here. We're going to add the red line in here. That's my gas prices, what I'm paying out here. As you can see, we went from a 466 down to about 462, right around there. So, oh yeah, I'm saving about 4 cents per gallon. Hey, but that's okay. I'm just happy to be here reporting the news for you. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope your investments are working out, and I hope the cost of living is not eating you up. Most of all, I hope you're healthy. In today's world, health, you can't put a price on health. I would rather be completely fit and healthy and broke versus being a millionaire and, laid up in bed somewhere or just sick all the time. So, I encourage everyone to count your blessings, focus on health. It's not all about money. It's about being healthy. And not just that, being happy. I mean, what good is being rich or healthy both if you're unhappy, if you're depressed all the time? I know we talked about paper millionaires earlier. I know some people that are millionaires on paper that are really not happy people. I have some in my family. I mean, I lost my grandma several years ago, but before passing away, my grandma was a millionaire, but she was very unhappy. She was always worried. She was always stressed. And I think that took years off of her life. And not just that, the years that she had were not as happy as they could have been if she didn't worry all the time. So on one hand, you want to be prepared. You want to look at what's ahead and where we're headed in this economy and this society. But at the other hand, you don't want to be stressed out all the time, because just stressing out and not being able to do anything about it, it's not going to help you, right? You can stress out all you want to, but it's not going to change the big picture. You can prepare, but don't stress out. That's the point I want to make. Prepare, be cautious, but don't stress out and don't worry about things that you can't control. And there's a lot of things out there that we can't control. And I want to try to bring a more positive message to my viewers here on this channel, because I think ultimately things are going to get better. We're going to need a major economic shift, maybe even a collapse. And things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. But ultimately, I think there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to see an awakening, people waking up to see, what's really happening to this economy, people learning the truth. And everyone here on this channel, I hope that you are spreading the word about what's really happening so people can learn the truth. And the faster more people are alerted to this, the faster we'll get a recovery and a correction. But until then, stay well, stay safe, keep stacking. Bye for now. Thanks for being here. Peace.